hello there. I can't help but notice your inquisitive stare. That's all right. Perhaps you're wondering what I'm doing here in this waiting room. And the short answer is, I'm waiting. But the long answer, and I think we have enough time for it before I get called back for my fitting, is that in my side yard I have a tree. And that tree had a branch that arched right over where I like to keep my wood chipper. Now, normally that wouldn't be any problem, but this is one of those trees that likes to drip sap. And there are few things in this world I find as vexing as sap getting on my wood chipper. I love that wood chipper dearly. So I figured I would prune that branch, and now you may not know this, but when you're cutting off a limb that's hanging over something valuable, be it your house or, in this case, my wood chipper, you will want to tether that branch to the tree's trunk so that when it falls, it will swing inward and hang around the trunk rather than coming down and crushing your prized possession, or my wood chipper. So I had in mind to do just that, but I did not have one solitary inch of rope lying around. No matter, I just went over to my brother's house. He lives right next door to mine, and I asked him for some piano wire. You know, I think he must be a piano repairman. At least as a side gig, I've often seen him going out at all hours of the night with that piano wire, wearing his work gloves. He doesn't like to talk about it, though, very much. Must not be a very interesting job. Anyway, he lent me some piano wire, no problem. So one morning last week, I went out, slung a chainsaw over one shoulder, slung the piano wire over the other, climbed up the tree, which was not so easy. I'm not as limber as I once was. Well, that was a joke, but once I got up there, I tied the wire to the branch, tied the other end to the trunk, stepped out onto the branch, and began cutting into it with the chainsaw. And I do see that concerned look on your face. You're probably thinking, that's not the best way to do that job, sir. And I won't disagree too strongly, but in my defense, I had performed this exact operation once before about a year ago, and it was not totally unsuccessful. So I figured it was okay to do it again. But here's where I made my big mistake. Now, try to picture this. If you're standing on a branch while cutting that branch, you are always going to want to stand on the part that will remain connected to the tree when the cut is complete. I neglected to do that, and when the chainsaw was about 9/10 of the way through, the branch gave a great lurch, and I was on the lurching side, unfortunately. And I could not help stumbling back, which is not a good thing to do when you're holding an active chainsaw. It kind of kicked up at me and made contact with my left arm. Well, a lot of contact, actually. So I started singing a song that has often brought me comfort in times of trouble. It goes like this. Now, before you go swooning on me and thinking this is some awful gory story, I should disclose to you that my left arm is in fact my prosthetic arm. It has been prosthetic for about a year now. So while it was certainly startling, this unwitting self-surgery did not actually harm me. It felt interesting. And that saw, it chewed right through that arm. Carbon fiber, silicone, aluminum, and everything. And that arm, it just fell right down to the ground. Well, you'll understand that this sudden loss of weight on my left set me off balance again, and I couldn't help staggering back a bit on the tree limb. I dropped the chainsaw, which I was happy to be rid of at that time, and I wheeled around so I could hug the limb for support, but wouldn't you know it, in doing so, I jammed my right eye, my glass eye, thank heavens, right into this stubby little broken branch that was jutting out. Well, the glass eye, you know, it just popped right out like nothing, like a pea from the pod. And I haven't seen it since, actually. You may have noticed it was missing. Took me a moment to notice you, in fact, because you're on my right side. Now, unfortunately, in all my careening, the piano wire had become wrapped around my right wrist. My remaining wrist, I should say. And right about now, that branch I was standing on was just about done hanging on for dear life. It finally broke off with a tremendous snap. Huh, what a sound. Well, I was tethered to the tree. The branch was tethered to the tree, so we both swung down and inward. And let me tell you something, when that piano wire pulled tight and taut around my wrist, oh boy, did it pull tight and taut. Now, again, I should divulge something to you. My right arm is quite real, but my right hand is artificial, more of a hook, really. And the piano wire cut very cleanly and easily through the acrylics and the epoxies, like floss cutting through butter. So my hook hand came off, and it waved goodbye as it left me, swinging away on the wire. And I think I saw some raccoons with it the other day, getting kind of scrappy with it in an alley fight downtown. Could have been someone else's hook hand, I suppose. But anyway, once the hand came off, I was free of the piano wire, and gravity being what it is, I fell. And I'm not too proud to admit that I was a little bit scared, so I turned once again to that old familiar chorus. Just like that, maybe a little abridged. The rest happened pretty quickly. If I recall, as I was coming down, the old branch was on its backswing, coming sideways at me. Our paths crossed, and neither one of us had the courtesy to stop for the other. So the branch plowed right into my left leg, which I'm happy to report is another falsie. The branch hit almost exactly where the metal meets the meat, as they say, and the fake part of my leg just popped off and went flying out of my pant leg like a magic trick. I think one of the neighborhood dogs ran up and carried it off and buried it somewhere. They love to do that. Every time I do yard work, they're congregating outside, hoping for a new chew toy. Can't blame them, I suppose. They love bones and they love shoes, and that leg was kind of a 2-in-1. That's what happened to the arm that fell off, by the way. Octavia the wiener dog ran off with that, and it's longer than she is. But I digress. I continued falling. I mean, as one does. And would you believe where I landed? Right there in the funnel of the wood chipper. And I should pause right here and make one thing perfectly clear. It may seem to some like I'm half mannequin, but I'm no dummy. I had not left the wood chipper on during all of this ill-fated affair, and I would have been perfectly fine landing there, and that would have been the end of the whole business, except for that swinging branch. That doggone severed tree limb managed to come free of the piano wire at that very moment, and it also landed on the wood chipper. But it landed on the on switch. And I was still in the funnel. So my right foot, which by happy coincidence is also artificial, got eaten up pretty bad. And you know I saw Clarence II, the bull terrier, waiting expectantly on my lawn, hoping to get my leg. But when he saw little bits of polyurethane and Skechers slip-on shoes, the little titanium shavings come spewing out of the discharge chute of the wood chipper, he knew he was out of luck and he walked away with his ears down. Not today, Clarence. Whew. Anyway, I love my wood chipper, as I've said, but it can't take on a titanium shin, so the blades, they stopped, and I just used my stumps to haul myself out of there. Fell to the ground with a pretty hard thud that knocked all my teeth out, but that's not too impressive anymore, just enough force to break the seal on the fix-a-dent. I certainly freaked out a couple of the kids in the neighborhood crawling out like that. I might freak them out again if they find my eye lying around. Well, anyway, a couple moments later, my brother happened to drive up, and he'd had his own injury. Maybe some piano bolt had been too tight or something and had flown up and winged him, because it looked like he had been shot, for goodness sake. And he'd bandaged it up himself, rather clumsily. Well, he helped me inside. He scolded me for all my mistakes. And that was about it, really. And you know, as I sit here wrapping up my story, looking at your interested expression, I can tell you that I probably will not be performing that particular operation again. But I will say, I came out of it completely unscathed. apart from the uncrustable sandwich I had in my back pocket. That got really mushed up. And I managed to cut the branch off successfully. And it all hurt a whole lot less than the first time I did all of it last year. Thank you for listening.